Hi, hey, hello. I'm Chelsea. Welcome or welcome back to my channel where we talk books. Today I have an exciting video. I'm just going to talk about some of my recent reads. A lot of these are from October-ish and like the beginning of November, since we are mid-month. So quite a few of them are like fall. We got some fall vibes going on here, because that's kind of, you know, the season that I read these books in. So we will just get started. I have them all on my phone, so if I'm looking down, that is what I am looking at. Just a brief summary of what it was that I was reading, because some of these, like, you know, I didn't love all of them. We'll just keep it at that. Let's start off with my most recent read, which I finished like not a week ago, but like recently, very recently, was called Wonderland by Jennifer Hiller. I read this one on Kindle Unlimited. I do not have a Kindle Unlimited subscription anymore. Side note / tangent. I feel like Kindle Unlimited was not for me. First of all, like $15 almost a month here in Canada is a bit much for like ebooks. And I just found that like a lot of them were romance. There's a lot of romance on there. So like if you're a fan of romance, it's probably amazing. Would love Kindle Unlimited. It's not really my genre. They had some good thrillers on there, but not enough for me to spend $15 a month, like with tax and everything on it. So I do not have Kindle Unlimited anymore, but a lot of these I did read on Kindle Unlimited because I wanted to get the most out of it while I had it. Yeah, so a lot of these are sort of thriller-esque, because those are the genres I was most interested on Kindle Unlimited. So yes, a lot of these are available on there if you're interested. So yeah, Wonderland by Jennifer Hiller. This I just finished last week. It is a thriller about a small town amusement park, where that's basically all they have. They have the amusement park. That is their bread and butter. And they mysteriously, young men working at this amusement park go missing. And this is just the story of the main detective trying to figure out what is going on here, where are these boys, and where do they mysteriously go. It all relates. It all comes back to the amusement park. So that is basically Wonderland. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I enjoyed it. I thought it was, you know, it was a good thriller. It was, it had me interested. It felt very summery, which was not really the vibe I was going for, because summer is over. But either way, I enjoyed it. I had a good time reading it. The author is, I didn't know this until the end, is Canadian. And while I was reading it, you know, obviously Wonderland, if you're unaware, is a big amusement park, probably the biggest one in Canada, just outside of Toronto. And that is apparently what she based it off of, that and the C&E, which is also another big sort of like, it's like a summer fair that also happens in Toronto. Clearly she's from Toronto. Next book is called Elsewhere by Alexis. I'm gonna try so hard to say this name. Alexis Schaikin. I'm not gonna bother. I've got the book in hand. Elsewhere by Alexis, if it's gonna focus. Schaikin? I'm not really sure. Anyway, I love the cover of this one. I did enjoy it. However, it took me a while to get into that one because it's a bit slow-paced, especially in the beginning. Little summary, just reading it off of my phone. It's about a small village where mothers sort of mysteriously go missing. They disappear, never to return. And our main character, Vera, her mother disappears, as most of them do in the village. And she's kind of like, you know, she's upset about it. And then she becomes a mother, you know, some odd years later, she becomes a mother. And she also mysteriously goes missing, and you see where it is that she goes. You sort of get an idea of how she's feeling. This book was very much about motherhood, about like a sense of loss of, you know, your identity, and feelings of depression and like I'm not good enough type, that kind of stuff. I thought it was a beautifully told story. It is a very slow-paced book, especially in the beginning. But once you're in, like, midway, it gets better. I enjoyed it halfway through. And by the end, I was super into it. So, yeah, I enjoyed that one. Next read was also on Kindle Unlimited, called On a Quiet Street by Seraphina Nova Glass. They seem to be a popular author of thrillers. So this was like a domestic drama thriller. And it was about an exclusive sort of rich community in Oregon, and naturally everyone, all the neighbors, they all had secrets, they all had things, you know, that they were hiding, and it's really about that, as well as two women sort of come together to help the neighborhood young woman. She's a young woman in the neighborhood, and she's kind of the recluse. She's very mysterious, and yeah, they essentially come together to help her with her secrets that I'm not going to get into. You just gotta kind of read the book to know. But yeah, all is not what it seems in this book. I don't know how I felt about this book, to be honest. It was fast-paced. I enjoyed like the pace of it. The chapters were like, so one chapter would be from like Cora, one of the women, and then the other chapter would be from like one of the other women, and then the other chapter would be from the recluse, named like Georgia or something, and I think the other one was Paige, the other woman. So it's the perspectives from those three women, which is fine. What I did not like at all and found very confusing was that the perspective, the chapters from Paige's point of view were in third person, which is fine, but the perspectives, like the chapters from Cora and Georgia's chapters were in first person. So the POVs was really throwing me off. And for that reason, I did not really enjoy this book as much as I could have. Just because it was weird. It was very weird. You're reading two chapters from first person POV, and then suddenly this other person's POV is third person. It was too much. I didn't like that at all. It felt very like it wasn't supposed to be like that. So yeah, other than the POVs, it was a fine book. It was okay. Next one, The Coworker by Freida McFadden. Freida is a very popular thriller author now. I think Kindle Unlimited has really done her good job. Like, I think before Kindle Unlimited, she was very like small time, and now her books have blown up. Also, The Housemaid. I did read that one and I enjoyed it. The Coworker. We'll just get into what it's about, and then I'll say whether I liked it or not. The Coworker is like a workplace drama thriller. It's about two women Natalie and Dawn. Natalie is like she's cool, she's kind of popular, she's well liked. Dawn is weird. She has a strange obsession with turtles. I believe Dawn was supposed to be autistic on the, on the spectrum. I was not a fan of that, to be honest. It didn't feel right. And the obsession with the turtles was annoying. But anyway, what the book is about. Dawn, who is the outcast, clearly, because she's a little out there. She mysteriously goes missing and ends up dead. And Natalie is basically the one to find the evidence that she potentially is murdered. And Natalie sort of becomes a little obsessed with it. And she can't stop thinking about Dawn and what happened and yada, yada, yada. You sort of get like perspectives. You get to see Dawn's emails to one of her friends about what's happening at work, that sort of thing. It's a very different story than how Natalie is portraying it. You've got some unreliable point of views, characters, that sort of thing. Yeah, I did not like this one. First of all, I was not a fan of Dawn's character being, on the spectrum. It felt not right. It felt icky. And she was also such an annoying character. I also didn't like Natalie. She was a real bitch. So I didn't like any of the characters. None of them were likable, so I didn't really care what happened to them. I didn't really care that much about the story. Also the ending, I won't spoil it obviously, but it felt like there was no justice for what happened. It was just like, yeah, there was just no resolution. It just, yeah. I can see where it was going, like where the author was going with that, but I did not like it. It felt like the ending was, it just didn't feel good. The ending just didn't, like that dopamine when you finish a book and you're like, oh my God, that ending was so good. It totally no, did not get that. I didn't get it. Wasn't for me. This book was not for me. I did like The Housemaid though. I've only read the first one, but I did enjoy it. Okay, next one. Salem's Lot, by Mr. Stephen King. This, it was alright. I'll get into it. Okay, so, I'm just gonna read the synopsis that is like online just because it's short and sweet and I don't want to give too much of the actual story away. So here it is. Thousands of miles away from the small township of Salem's Lot, you got two terrified people, a man and a boy. And they still share the secrets of those clapboard houses and tree-lined streets. They must return to Salem's Lot for a final confrontation with the unspeakable evil that lives on and in the town. I'll just say it, the unspeakable evil is vampires. It's a vampire story. That's basically all I'll say about that. I've read a lot of Stephen King books, honestly. This was not my favorite one. It felt too long. But although Stephen, my friend, you need to shorten some of your descriptors. Like some of that stuff I don't need to know. It does not help with the story. It's just you using fluff. Stephen, come on. We could edit it a bit more. That's just my opinion though. I know people love Stephen King. I've really enjoyed him in the past. This one, it was okay. It was definitely not my favorite. Yeah, it kind of dragged. I did really enjoy all the characters though. I liked the characters and I enjoyed the setting of Salem's Lot. I thought it was good and spooky. But yeah, that is all I will say about that one. Next up, Rules of Magic. You can see a theme here. I was really into like the spooky October vibes. Rules of Magic by Alice Hoffman. This is like part of the Practical Magic series. I had never read any of them. I didn't know it was part of that when I read it, but I didn't need to. It was one of those things where like you don't need to know the first one to read the second one, because it's the second in the series. And it is mainly about the women in the Owens family, who are a family of witches. And 3 siblings basically grow up in New York City and come to understand who they are and sort of their family history, their family secrets, and how to be witchy. Yeah, it was it was an unexpectedly good book. I enjoyed myself reading this one. I felt like it was well written and the characters were well developed, and their story, the characters' stories, it's really like a character story. I enjoyed it. I thought it was, they were well developed. And yeah, it was basically a perfect fall read, which is really kind of what I was looking for. Next one, sort of my last read that I'll talk about is called Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. Yeah, this one is about a mother's desperate attempt to stop her son from committing a crime. So essentially, this woman witnesses her son killing somebody, like stabbing someone, and she is sort of desperate because this is not like her son at all, and so she's desperately trying to figure out how to save her son from committing this crime. So how, you may wonder, is she doing that? Well, this is like a time travel, time lapse type book, thriller, suspense, which was interesting. It was an interesting concept. I enjoyed it for the most part. I really, like I said, I thought it was a fascinating concept of like this woman trying to save her son by continuously going back in time, basically to the very beginning of sort of when it all happened, to the point that she could stop it from happening. My only sort of like riff with this book is that I didn't really understand how the time loop happened, like how it was happening. She just kept going back in time, and you sort of like saw the process, and like you start to understand why she's going back in time, but not how it's happening. It was very confusing. It was just like suddenly she wakes up and she's in a different time, but like what's the story between the time loop? It didn't, yeah, I just didn't understand that. So I felt like that was maybe like a, what's it called? Like a plot. Why can't I think? I cannot think of the word that I'm thinking of. But yeah, it just felt like that part of the story was missing. Yeah. Currently reading. I am currently reading the book Betty by Tiffany, wait, what's her name? Tiffany McDaniel, I believe. I'm including this one even though I haven't finished it, because so far I am absolutely loving it. I don't think I'm even halfway in. It is a long book, but it is essentially the author's story of her mother, who is her mother and her family, just her family in general. Her mother is half Indian and half white, growing up in like the Appalachians, the mountain areas of the United States, in like Virginia or something. I could be totally wrong about that. A small town, and it's basically about her mother and the struggles that she went through growing up, being somebody who is half Indian and half white, and her complicated relationship with her own mother. So I guess the author Tiffany's grandmother and her mother Betty's relationship was challenging. And then her relationship with her father, who was amazing. So yeah, I am loving that book. I don't have a whole lot more to say about that because I am going to do like a favorites video coming up, and that will 100% be on it. So yeah, I even though I'm halfway through, absolutely loving it. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for the video today. Thank you so much for joining me in my video. I absolutely had a blast, and I hope you did too. If you liked it, maybe like, maybe subscribe. Gus says, please subscribe, please like. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time, bye. Bye. Oh, he wants to go. Bye.